I know everybody's busy, and I don't even know what this is. Like I don't know if you know, Sam. You're busy, man. We're word on the street is that we're starting a Patreon, and it's cool to like have a Patreon and be like, hey, give us money, because we're making content. But fam was like, yeah, we need to make something to go up with the content or go up as content extra for the Patreon. So we're trying normally on the Black Wrestling Podcast, youtube.com/Black Wrestling. For those that don't know, Drip has a segment called White Noise, and a lot of the time he'll spend, if he's not like berating somebody for whatever situation is going on with white people in pro wrestling. They may or may not happen to black with people. I don't know. Depends on the week. He's talking about some white shit, and I think like for me, I'm gonna be blunt. I'm gonna be honest. The only people I know who have ever talked about Jay White is Drip and Simp, or like the collection of like Simp listening to Wrestling Observer Radio, because Alvarez and Meltzer, Jay White's been in NGPW. Like he's been all over. Like I've heard his name, but like, cause he's in AEW now, right? And I don't know. Like I guess it was a big deal. It was a big deal when he was announced, right?
It should have been more. Yeah, I mean, it was. You know what? Take it back to the beginning. Yes, it was a big deal, I think, when he was announced. Now, how they've gone about showcasing him, that can be left up for some discussion. But, yeah, I mean, it should be a big deal. In fact, I thought it should have been a bigger deal when you got a guy of that magnitude with those belts, with those wins over certain guys and all that. Why would you not want to bring him in and make him a big deal? But you know, you could say the same thing about Adam Cole too, and maybe they haven't done that.
How about that?
That's the thing. I think we really started White Noise as a segment because I was starting to come on more, and I think it really started that week when Jay White's potential free agency was announced right after that Wrestle Kingdom show where he lost to Ibushi in like 55 minutes. And then it was like, is he going to go to NXT? Is it AEW? This was when we were still thinking that Triple H had control of NXT. The 2.0 wasn't really a thing yet. It was still black and gold. Is this guy showing up to challenge?
They were still trying.
And like Sim said, like he became a top guy in New Japan. Like it cycles through. The top foreign star was Prince Devitt, now Finn Balor. AJ Styles took his spot once he departed. Kenny Omega took over AJ Styles' spot once AJ Styles left. And then Jay White basically took over Kenny Omega once the Elite. And basically the origins, the foundations of AEW were starting to, get steam behind it after All In and all that. And this all coincides with the Bullet Club as well. The Bullet Club.
I was going to ask.
The top guys in Star.
It essentially, it sounds like, it's funny we're having this conversation, and again, I don't want to bring too much of outside of this conversation into it, but the timing is interesting because we're talking about Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor recently, and it's like everybody leaving Ring of Honor is starting AEW, and it kind of like Jay White's essentially been the guy who had to pick up the Bullet Club after everybody else went off to make AEW a couple of years ago.
That's fair. And in fact, you can rewind back to, people thinking that Jay White was out of his goddamn mind, because the rumor was 7 years was the contract that he signed with New Japan. At the time, everything was happening. Trip talked about the whole deal with the free agency and everything. He was putting it out there like he was, and Meltzer kind of said he wasn't. Remember the whole no cap, the whole
he had said that
from Jay. And the thing was, it was look, I was under the impression he was under a longer deal. The reality of the situation was what New Japan lost, what was going on at the time with people talking to people and trying to get people over to AEW. Remember the deal with Trent? You know, there were bad feelings with Trent going over. And Tony even talked about that at the Baltimore presser after that show, that pay-per-view that they had. He talked a little bit about it then. As well as some other times. I mean, it's just there was a lot of bad feelings. There were people that thought that Jay was out of his mind for signing there for anything longer than a year or two. Like they weren't going to give him just a year or two. I mean, New Japan, a lot of times in Japan, traditionally there were 1-year contracts that every January would run out, and you would re-up every January. Well, the game has changed, things have changed, and Okada. There were battles over Okada. There was the rumor of they put Okada in a room and they were not letting him out of that room, free agency style, until they had something on a piece of paper with him.
Until he signed.
They were
DeAndre Jordan in the Mavericks and Clippers situation type.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And it's like, because that's how it was getting. It got that tense there, for a while.
They had to hold on to people.
Yeah, and Harold May at the time too. Looking at what they were doing. Look, there's two sides to that story. It's, there was New Japan side and Harold May's side looking at it, and there was the AEW side, Tony Khan's side, and obviously they bet on themselves. There was no question in their mind they weren't going to be a dominant force in American pro wrestling with what they had behind them. But how many times have we all heard that?
Right.
And how many times has it not happened? And they were going into direct opposition with everybody that New Japan was working with, Ring of Honor, all that, everything. Everything was getting tense and changing. And ultimately, with how everything's worked out, well, Jay White's still going to come to America, still going to probably be a star, and
right?
Probably be a regular in AEW one day. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, it got way away from what.
No, actually,
I
think it makes sense. I think that's kind of the question, because he debuted recently. The father. This was what, early February that we saw him in AEW. Where was the this shot? I guess was when they first. This was when they first announced him, when he first made his debut backstage. It was, the reveal was really brief. I don't know, but it sounds like he's been in. And shouts out to Chris Bay. I have to. I found this image going through images for this podcast. See, Chris, that's I don't know if that hoodie ever came out, but he's been rocking with Chris Bay out in Impact for a bit. They're still, that's the thing with the Bullet Club. Like he's still rolling with the Bullet Club. Like kind of, it's almost like before when the Forbidden Door was open. Oh, my bad. When the Forbidden Door was open. Went back. No, it's all good. This is Patreon, baby. This is Patreon.
It's the people going
back before the Christian and Kenny Omega situation between AEW and Impact. It gives that vibe of this guy being in AEW, running roughshod in Impact, as well as doing whatever he does in New Japan. But he's ready to be in America. He's ready to be in AEW full time.
I think he lives in America now, especially after COVID. Like, he didn't go back and forth as much as, again, that Moxley couldn't go back to defend the U.S. title. That's why they had that Kento in that briefcase, and the whole, I'm really the champ because this guy can't come over.
He can't be here.
It. But him and AEW, those are the rumors that that was the guy they wanted early on, that he had signed this deal. Who knew? Again, what like Mike just said. But again, it makes sense because he kind of took the reins of Bullet Club right after the Elite had broken off. And then it was him, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, and all these other guys, El Phantasmo, now Chris Bay. And then what just happened last week with the Good Brothers joining back up.
Right. They're a whole squad.
Yeah. So it seems that, and we just saw the Good Brothers in AEW a lot last year, kind of with Omega and the Bucks teasing that. Now Adam Cole's back, Kenny Omega's gone. So this whole state of Bullet Club, past and present members, is really what's kind of drawing the forbidden door of guys cycling in and out. Jay White was in ROH. I sent you that match, Kyle. I sent Kyle 2 matches to kind of get some more.
I promise I wanted to watch them. I haven't watched them.
Well, the first one was
this weekend. It's been a busy
him and Ospreay, which was generic white meat babyface Jay White.
That's a lot of white boy. That's a lot of white boy.
it was kind of his big breakthrough match, and then he's kind of gone after that because he returns as the Switchblade. And then the other match I sent was him and Okada at that Wrestle Kingdom when he beats Okada, and that's like that caps the entire year he just had by beating Kenny Omega, Okada, Tanahashi, and he beats the Rainmaker at Wrestle Kingdom, and then he goes on to win the title and then headline Madison Square Garden on G1 Supercard. Like all the accomplishments this guy did is what kind of makes him this big deal. Granted, it's all in Japan,
but still
over in the States.
I mean, that's what goes on with the Bucks right now. But you were going to say something, Sam?
I just, the stuff he did in ROH too. I mean, there's stuff with Leo Rush because Leo was there. I mean, there was things that he did for a very short period of time while he was there that gets kind of, it's just going to get forgotten about. That he had some good. There were some real bangers in there, and
him and Punch Martinez had like a real feud, right?
Yeah, and it was
Damian Priest now.
The old Jay White, and you look at Jay White, and he is the white meat, white baby face. That's what he is. The baby face, pale skin, the long hair, that type of thing.
What's the one image I found? Yeah,
and that's
this shit.
Well, that is, if you listen to that promo, that's a real piece of shit heel Jay White. Like
this is heel. It was.
They boo him because I just watched it. They boo him relentlessly after he beats Tanahashi. He's like, I beat this old fuck.
I'll see if I can find a better image.
He's like, I beat Okada. Look what I've done. They're like, and I'm just getting started.
Well, let me say, what year are we talking? What's the time frame we're talking about right now?
16?
That's 2018.
2018. No, what's the baby face? Baby face is
2016, 2017. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was him, it was Juice Robinson and David Finlay.
David Finlay as the Young Lions, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, they were the young foreigners. They were the young lions who were going to come in and, ultimately it was...
Piss and vinegar.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was Finlay who he actually turned on first, or that's what kind of set there were hints that he was going to end up being diabolical, and then he gets the offer with Bullet Club. He turns it down, ends up giving Omega the Switchblade, and then joins Chaos, and that's the setup for the impetus for him to join Bullet Club. And he was still still had the baby face look then, but from where he, to me, character wise, you're gonna see the evolution, and I don't know if it's as obvious. The work in the ring, to me, is still the bottom line with him. I mean, and to me, a lot of people love Ospreay. If you're giving me only one person to start with, Ospreay or Jay White, I'm taking Jay White. Because I think he's got a more believable promo. He's certainly got a more believable, slimy, bad guy, fuck you promo than Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay's still trying to find himself in that heel. Like Jay as a babyface, you look at him, you want to punch him in the face. So even as a babyface, it was not going to work. They were going to have to do something. And the physical, his athletic talent, for him to come in after Balor, after Styles, after Omega, he was the right choice. The right person in that vein to run Bullet Club, to be that person, to be that athletic person who can face guys bigger than him and make it look realistic. He can go with guys smaller than him. Again, it was a perfect, to me, it was the perfect person to take over with them leaving.
Right.
But when they did, obviously everything happened. The split with Evil coming in, the House of Torture thing, we talked about in the Big Audio Nightmare that I do with Adam Summers over at F4W Online a lot. We talked about it a lot, that this whole thing was going to lead towards House of Torture being led by Evil. And then you'll have Jay White's Bullet Club. And I think what they're doing right now, and I could be dead-ass wrong about this, but with them laying out the Good Brother, or joining the Good Brothers back in and having them lay out Tangaloa and Tamatonga, it's like, well, Tamatonga and Tangaloa were there to help them get into the Bullet Club. And it's like they seem to be making moves now and doing things now that will set up moves for when everybody goes back to Japan.
Right.
And the ultimate winner in that, in my opinion, is going to be Chris Bay. I love Chris Bay as a member of the Bullet Club. They were certainly lacking some things that Chris Bay can bring to the table. And
100%.
If he were to jump full time, I think Chris Bay is the guy to usurp Jay White as the face of Bullet Club. I mean, again, it has to be a Gaijin star because that's the appeal. Like, this is the faction of outsiders, the foreigners to Japan.
And
Chris Bay has the guy that has the skills on the mic, character wise, and can go in the ring, just like again the guys I mentioned. And Jay White took elements of all three of those guys previously. Again, with the last real rock and roller, King Switch, the only Grand Slam champion in New Japan history. The man that single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden. He says it every week. It's like it's a fact. Like he cuts this promo. And again, his mic skills. What you said about Ospreay is exactly right. Like Ospreay wants to make you hate him, but it's like impossible because you don't buy it at all. It's like you're the guy. We still think of you as the guy who does all the flips in this. Like you want us to hate you so bad, it's gonna make us hate you just because you're sucking at it. Like the Commonwealth Kingpin can't compete with. Even though the Switchblade, I did like the original look. The guy just showed up with like these knives. It was very like graphic novel-esque, like very Frank Miller or something like. But as you saw progress, again, he can talk in the matches. The matches with Hangman Page before he was Hangman Page in that sense. I mean, him and Juice Robinson had a good back and forth series. He beat Tanahashi, Okada. I mean, all these guys early on. And him and Ibushi have some classics. Him and Naito. I mean, does with all the top guys, like you said. Him and John Moxley only had one match during the G1, but that'd be a few that they would need to run back, especially if he were to show up in AEW more full time. Is Death Rider versus Switchblade?
And that's to me, that's the one you would want. That's a great call because that's the one where you really could showcase every aspect of Jay White. You want him to brawl and get bloody and get out. He could do that. He hadn't gotten bloody in New Japan because they don't do that over there. But as far as the brawl goes, I think he could probably surprise some people that way. Physically, obviously, he can go to top level, Okada-esque level, and be up there with those type of dudes. So he can do that, which, in this scenario is beneficial for Moxley, who Moxley punches, he kicks, he throws some knees, some of which look good, some of which sometimes don't.
Yeah.
But like people
get an armbar, rear naked choke.
Yeah, so it's like, he can make anything of Moxley's look amazing. And I just think it's a good dynamic. It's a good fit. Again, the accent helps. The fact that I think he's good on the mic. Is he going to get over to Americans? I think he will. I think if given that time, he will. You saw with the match with Beretta, it was good. But I don't know if debuting Jay White on a Friday against Beretta on Rampage with very little backstory given, did you do him any favors? Probably not. Could he get him? Probably.
These two guys have history in New Japan. That is a safe hand type. Like it's a guy that can take a loss in Beretta. Well, and establishes Jay White because it's a guy that he beat Trent Beretta. Like that tough guy in AEW. Like give him the street fight.
That's kind of what they did with Adam Cole, right? Adam Cole's got all these wins, but all his wins are racked up on Rampage. He's wrestling Evil Uno. No disrespect to Evil Uno, but it's just he's wrestling everybody. It's kind of like when I never thought about it like this until just now, but Rampage is almost building people like WWF superstars did every Saturday afternoon. Mr. Perfect would wrestle everybody. He'd be like 20-0 if they were counting wins and losses, but he saw him beat everybody all the time. So it made sense when it's like, he gets the Intercontinental Championship.
And that's where you should try some shit out. Rikishi and Too Cool. Like that whole story with Rikishi, I remember seeing it kind of like break loose on Sunday Night Heat. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is good enough. And they actually made it a prime time type of deal. And that's what they should do with those shows in theory, especially with Rampage, because I don't know what the answer is for Rampage, but if it's going to be on Friday, you're going to have problems getting eyeballs on it. Right. So whenever you do, you're going to have variations that are going to be real good some weeks, some really bad other weeks. You just have to try to do things that make it that you can slide into Dynamite and that further things along, and that's really all you can do. But when it's time for him to debut on Dynamite, you got to make it a bigger deal because there's people like Cal who haven't seen this dude, or they just hear the accent, they're kind of turned off, or it's just it's just another generic white guy, long hair, who's trying to talk nonsense. Physically, I think he can turn people once they see him wrestle, but it's all about the whole package and the character, and why should we give a fuck about this guy who he beat Okada and Tanahashi 29 billion times. Okay, why should we care about this guy here? And that's what they're going to have to do. And because I think he did it with Cole. And in fact, the fact that they had Jay White looking at Orange Cassidy after you just had this deal with Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy, and the fact that it didn't work.
That's right up my alley, though, Mike.
But wait, because the problem is I've been trying to watch more AEW. I hate because this isn't going to drop at the time that we record it, and I hate time stamping, but I just watched Orange Cassidy wrestle Max Caster, the qualifier match for the thing or whatever. I watched it the other day, and Orange does his
that was Anthony
thing.
Bones.
Oh, I'm sorry, Anthony Bones. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the other dude from the Acclaimed. I apologize. I remember the Max Caster thing because they cut the Rick Putin or the
Yeah,
Vladimir
they had
Putin
the line.
it was they said you're more hated than Vladimir Putin or something like. I'm like, the line wasn't even that he said worse shit that is probably
he said
probably
Duke
got him in
Lacrosse.
trouble, but anyway, Orange Cassidy isn't bad, but it's an Orange Cassidy match. I don't think Jay White needs to do that, and I think it's weird. I don't want to say he's in a bad spot, but because of the Bullet Club and the Elite and everything, it makes sense to throw him in with them. But at some point, he ends up being just another guy in a match with Red Dragon and the Bucks and the dude with the camera and Adam Cole. And like, there's 6 or 7 guys. They're fighting each other while they're also fighting the Dark Order and Adam Page. And then you've got Jay White. And then it's so many bodies that he's not going to be able to get off with it. He may do a move or two, or he may get a good match out of one of these things, but it's probably going to be in a 6-man.
Well, that's why I tweeted that I thought, like, when he showed up and the way everything's going, where like Adam Cole's between Red Dragon and the Young Bucks, it seems like Adam Cole will side with Red Dragon. Jay White joins up with them because he's not pro Young Bucks or pro Kenny Omega. He beat Kenny Omega. He's one of the last guys in the last 5 years to have a win over Kenny Omega in a singles match. He beat him for the IWGP US title. And that's, kind of made him, again, like, this guy beat Kenny Omega after he had this incredible 2017. He's the first man to beat him in 2018.
Right.
And then Kenny Omega returns. Him and Adam Cole obviously are going to feud over the Young Bucks love. And then it seems like Hangman Page still might have, like, these guys I still own, like, so it could be the 4 of them. Young Bucks, Page, Omega versus White, Cole, and Red Dragon. That's too fantasy booking, but it looks good on paper because it makes sense when you factor it all in together.
Right.
Oh, absolutely does, especially if you're going to get Jay White over here for a significant period of time, or he's
has a USFJ challenge going on across in New Japan, America. I mean, he'll be taking it to Dallas against Mike Bailey, but he just beat Swerve, Christopher Daniels. He's beat a number of people in this trip across the states.
Him, Jeff Cobb, another one. Yeah, Jeff Cobb had his, cup of coffee there at the very beginning before he went over to become a regular in New Japan. But it's like those two guys, and there's a couple of them with New Japan who, if they came over and were used properly, I mean, they fit into that top tier so well. And I'm talking about, the foreigners. Forget about the Okadas and the Tanahashis and guys like that. You know what they can do, but it's like, those guys would fit in, and if there's no politics involved, if there's no nonsense involved, the matches that these guys can have, I mean, it's insane, especially because, it's like, hey, White and Cole cross paths, like you mentioned with Page and White cross paths, even a couple of years ago. You look at where, and granted, maybe I'm more bullish on Page than a lot of people are. But
I'm all about this. Let's go.
I mean, physically, like he's a lot better. Look, he's how he was portrayed during that whole deal in the lead up to him getting the belt, as far as like losing his way. Like maybe they should have tweaked that story some, at times to not make him look so weak. But he's a lot better performer than what he is, and he's a smart guy. And it's the same thing with Jay White. So if they're let to go after themselves, they'll make that match they had a couple of years ago look like nothing of what you could do now. And I think that's where White, I think, is he's one of those perfect prospects. He's not Roman Reigns. He's not Brock Lesnar. You could argue he's not Bryan Danielson even, but he is a guy, because I don't think people will get behind him like that. Danielson's just one of those special dudes, but he's a guy that is right there at all, is perfect. And I know there's a lot of people, New Japan fans didn't like him, but it's like nobody's a better fit, especially you need a foreigner who can play off Okada better and piss you off, who can play off Tanahashi better and piss you off, who can play off all these people. And that's the whole thing too with every member of Bullet Club that has been a leader of Bullet Club. They've all had that asshole streak to him, you know.
Right.
Omega, I think Omega had to put it on more than anybody, to be honest with you, of the four. He's the one that worked hardest at it. I thought
he had to work the hardest. You're right about
it was an
that.
unnatural fit, yeah. I mean, we kind of see AJ do heel stuff in TNA, and this was just him being like, I'm the fucking best there is in the world. Like, no one's better than me. I mean, I don't care if you're Tanahashi, Nakamura, Minoru Suzuki, I'm better than all of you. Like,
I'm over here being nice to Kenny Omega, but he had to work hard because that's not his natural fit at all.
He pranced in with the high knees. He was the junior of the group and all this, and he was the cleaner, and he had his little dance up.
Yeah, I wouldn't have
to spray his hair.
Yeah,
he had to do all of it. But no, I mean, and Mike, like this style, and I think Jay White's style, it's I always pick up because I'm not a fan of this, but it's what I think people think Triple H is, with the slow, methodical pace, but then brawling at the same time. But he can go with speed, he can do it all, and that it may seem boring or it seem too cerebral, but like it actually is when you think about like the spot where he'll throw you into the barricade, or he'll roll out at the right time. Again, he did the famous Kenny Omega Okada callback spot when Ibushi had him and he just dropped down and laughed at him like, you stupid fuck, I know what you're gonna do. Like, I've seen your matches. And he did it, and he kept doing it too. Or he'll mock Naito with the pose. He's just that smarmy, like, God, you're such a dick, aren't you? Like,
right. No, right.
He's like a super villain is the thing. Like, that's the thing. That's why he leads these guys.
I'm always trying to help the black guy get over. I can't help it. And the thing, because you guys are talking about like him being the leader of this group, and my thought this whole time is like, I wish he kind of debuted in AEW by himself. Maybe not on some like invasion, but being a guy who, outside of everything else that's going on, he could be the guy who just wants to get the Bullet Club over. You know what I'm saying? He's going to bring it back to bringing that chaos in there. And I think through that, as we talked to future Cal, if you can edit in the clip of Chris Bay talking about, maybe showing up on AEW at some point in the future now.
I'm thinking about it because of that whole fact that this is all new, and this is the first time it's being done. I was in the gym today. This morning, I got up 5 a.m. I go to the gym with one of my buddies who he helps me with my boxing and sparring. But he asked me because I was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, I just got to stay in the best shape of my life right now because you never know if I'm gonna get called to go somewhere on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday. And he was just like, so how does that even work? Like, what do you know about that? And I was like, there is no format of how this works because this is the first time this is being done. This isn't something that we already have a routine schedule for because this is just new. So the same how last year I was able to do the 3 companies in the same time, and this year I was able to do New Japan and Impact in the same night. If the opportunity is going to present itself for me to do, AEW and Impact, and even something else outside of that at the same time in 2021, then of course I'm going to do it because it'll be a personal thing to check off my list. It'll be something that people will say could not be done. And it will be another thing where, it's brand new. It's brand new. No one's seen it before. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to open up that belief for hella other people like me who can keep looking and be like, bro, every time I think this dude's going to slow down, every time I think that his luck has ran out, his opportunities are done, he creates something totally new that just hasn't been seen before. And if I could do it, I would love to do it under the Impact banner because there's a reason why I'm in Impact Wrestling. There's a reason why I wanted to go to Impact Wrestling. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to show up with that Impact Wrestling t-shirt on, and let people know where I'm from.
Okay. And I think this could be a great opportunity for a Chris Bay jump into AEW. I mean, again, as like kind of one of the shooters that Jay White has to bring over to really establish order. But if you could bring that foursome of Jay White, Chris Bay, and the Good Brothers or whatever into AEW as like a old school NWO-ish vibe, not to that degree, but just something different that's unique and is there to fuck up the dynamic. I think that would have been a better debut for him than entering into the ruckus with these guys who are already doing 15 different things.
Well, that's why it was so awkward. Like Adam Cole never interacted with Jay White. They weren't in Bullet Club at the same time at all. And the Bucks are like, again, like, we don't like this guy. Like, we don't know this guy. Like, what's the whole deal with this? And like, Kenny's not gonna like that. It's just dissension within the elite, and which is still the Bullet Club at the end of the day.
That's it. And it says something. It shows you where Impact's at. That I don't think anybody has seen Chris Bay. I mean, I don't want to say anybody because I'm sure there's an Impact fan, real strong Impact head losing their mind right now. Hey. You know, Jay White is, and that's the thing with AEW. It's like, yes, he's been an Impact, but like nobody's seen him there.
Who's watching, right?
You know, same thing with Chris Bay, and it's like I would have much rather have seen, because we haven't seen the Good Brothers in a while. I know there's some people that never want to see the Good Brothers on their TV, but it would have been a good time, I think,
to drop them in.
Go ahead, drop them in then. Go ahead, drop Chris Bay in then. You didn't even have to have Chris Bay have a match with anybody. You just have him around as Jay White lays out Rocky Romero. The other guys are sitting there, back there looking like, oh, we got to deal with this guy again? And who are these people? And why are you hanging out with them? Why are you You could have did something like that, let it go like that, because it doesn't seem like right now they have any plans for Jay White, at least short term here.
They can't.
You know, I legit thought the sign was the ultimate Forbidden Door. Like, he comes in, leaves, and he might come back again. It was one of those type of Forbidden Door. It's not a Keith Lee, like, he'll be
here. It was a tease.
Yeah. I think it's just, and well, I mean, now with the signing of ROH, who knows if they strike up relations with New Japan again, and then again the triangle of ROH, AEW, New Japan, Jay White, and all three, and maybe he's the head guy in ROH when.
And I'd like to think there's more to it, because the whole thing with obviously finding out that, okay, Keith Lee's coming in, but then it's like, wait, I promised a Forbidden Door, and where's Keith Lee? There's no Forbidden Door here. There's nothing special, quote unquote, about signing a free agent. You just signed a free agent. So it's like, so he had that move with Jay White. So maybe there was not any plan on doing any future thing, or because of all these reports on how they book out and they don't like making changes. You know, they don't like changing up stories where, okay, we're going to drop him in, but he doesn't fit in right now. Let's pull it back out. But I thought if that was going to be the case, then to bring those other guys in, have them be in the background, at least like a Chris Bay, because if I'm AEW, no offense to Impact, you don't want a contract tamper, but I'll take Chris Bay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously, why would you not? You know,
it's one of, and that's why I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna ask a question in a second. It's totally off of what everything we were going to talk about. But if you're in a time where you want to, because I'm trying to understand Tony Khan as a booker, and again, this is actually going to be a good segue.
So is Cody Rhodes.
No, but what I'm saying is like, because he introduces a lot of, he has main storylines that he's going to keep going, and he'll introduce stuff that he'll kind of like gauge the temperature sometimes on what the people are feeling. If people are liking it, he'll figure out a way to involve it. If not, he'll, you won't see these people for a while. Like you don't see. That's why the question with like Brian Cage. I remember he was in the FTW championship contention, and now he's been around, but he's not around anymore. And he could have been in Wardlow's spot or something like that. But
that's how they debuted him, was the thing in the Casino ladder match. That's how they debuted Brian Cage, because he won it and then got the title shot against Moxley, lost, and then he was like meandering in the mid card.
I randomly was it Dynamite, I think, the other day. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky were backstage
with a promo, yeah.
And Scorpio was talking about how he's talking about maybe getting to fight for some match. He's like, nah, I won this ladder match 300 X amount of days ago. Like, no, you're right. But then I saw a stat on Twitter like, yeah, he's only had like 5 matches in the time between winning that and now. There's things that happen that do totally get wiped off the mat. But it leads me to 2 things. One, with all of this going on, I would hope that Tony Khan would also remember that you can introduce people and do like you do with Hook on Rampage, where you're slowly feeding, and it's not that you're getting a high impact Hook story every week, but you're getting little nuggets of information. It's what Paul Heyman used to do in ECW back in the day. He had 3 or 4 or 5 storylines that were going on, but some of them were just a 5-second promo in the back. Terry Funk would go to the farm and cut a promo on the ranch. But you could bring up a Jay White and have him bringing in his Bullet Club and have Chris Bay in the background becoming a Danhausen type. I've got a meme viral, 2-second clip. Because Chris Bay, if you go on Chris Bay's Twitter, he's got all those clips on Instagram. He's surfing down the ring. He's doing flips. Like he's ready. Chris Bay is ready.
And what Ricky Starks does, yeah. And that's the thing.
Put him on with the Jay White, let the rocket go. But
it seems like Tony Khan books like the Always Sunny meme. Like, don't you see?
Right, no, like, right. Of course. And that's
right. And he has the same energy as Charlie Day on that show. I got a big idea coming up, guys. Like,
no, big ideas. I'm going to crash into it. Here we go. So I was the guy. It was Drip. I don't know what Math was doing. Drip and Fam were back and forth in our group chat offline, and I guess the conversation was, is AEW going to be getting on to HBO Max? Is AEW trying to start a streaming service? What's this announcement? I guess I hadn't been checking online. I've been so busy doing other stuff. I hadn't been on the timeline to see if anybody was, what the chatter was. And I guess it was so loud that Tony Khan had to come out on Dynamite and say, hey, I bought Ring of Honor. It's great. We've got the video library, and he's like, and we'll talk about it, in the future. See you later. We got a show to do. And I don't think there's been a lot of conversation of what, like, because they have a show in April, right? There's a show in April. My Swerve Scott's there. I forget who he was wrestling.
Him and Alex Zane, who just had glass in his eye.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, Seth would know more about that being a GCW fan.
Ruptured Globe.
We might have to, if people are digging Semp on the Patreon, I'm saying in future episodes we may have to do some, because I see people doing watch-alongs and like recap. We may have to do a GCW recap, because the timeline goes crazy for GCW
that
when
might
it's
have
on.
To be
and I see Semp's one of those guys.
Vin and Matt might have to do that
every time you want me up for that one. Are you kidding me?
Talk about it. All right, so Tony Khan, Tony Khan's got Ring of Honor. They've got a show in April. What is he installing somebody to run Ring of Honor? Is he going to be booking 2 things at one time?
I hope not. I hope. You know what? I don't think they know.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Here's why. I think they wanted to make the announcement. Things have been bantered about for quite some time. It is more than just buying Ring of Honor or buying the tape library. There have been other things that have been bantered about as far as what they could be buying or what the plans could be for streaming. Is it their own service? Is it through HBO Max?
Right.
Are they looking at Shimmer? Are they looking at ECW's house shows? Are they looking at other? Because that came up with Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Live about the ECW house shows. And some people are like, well, wait a second. Doesn't WWE own that? No.
No.
Rob Feinstein owns that.
Yeah, not the RF video, the fan cam stuff. Yeah.
So now you also got a situation that I didn't bring up on that show when it was brought up over, okay, let's say you do want to buy that. You want to buy it from Rob Feinstein? You want to give it? But see, for me, Shimmer was an obvious one to go with and things like that, but I don't think they know, because I think they're going to spend this time to try to figure out what is going to happen with this, because do you run it like Swerve signed with AEW right now? Obviously they bought it, but like, I don't know, like, that was a separate deal. Alex Zane is not signed to ROH from what I remember. He may have done a thing or two since he got back from WWE. So it's like, do you want to run this like a super indie and run 2 weekends a year, 2 days on 2 weekends a month, and because you got the money, whether it was Sinclair, whether it's Tony, to throw it out there, people? Do you want to have big matches and then have, a couple of underneath guys you'd use on, and girls that you would use on Twitter, on Dark and Elevation? Do you want them to fill that spot underneath? Do you want it to be all big name talent? And you just want to run a streaming show or a fight TV type of paper? There's a zillion things they could do, and I don't think they know. I mean, nobody's under contract right now. Is he in contact with Chris Hero every day? Is he in contact with Hunter Johnson? I mean, technically, none of those people work there. So
Gresham and Terminus. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of conversations that could be happening. I mean, especially for Gresham, who has been riding so hard for that title, and myself. Shouts out to Fam. I know Math, Brian H. Waters, Jabari from Everybody's been talking about this Dragon versus Octopus versus Dragon match. Brian Danielson versus Jonathan Gresham. People want to see, and there's so many different things that could happen in between. You could do, and again, you guys talk about who's around. I mean, William Regal's around. Again, Brian Danielson is in a situation where I want him to be the champion over at AEW because of how I just saw him, choke out Christopher Daniels on TV, and he's going to be honored at ROH doing their 20th anniversary later this year.
Like Samoa Joe, who's around.
There's so many people you can install as your Jack Tunney or as your figurehead, or as people who could help train a lot of these people who aren't ready for Dynamite, but you want to put on Dark, or you want to have on a retainer before they go out there to be in a match. There's a lot you can do that I think people haven't even been exploring in their theories, and I get maybe I was thinking too much about it the other night, but I've been kind of
hang on. Like what you said at the beginning, like especially with Jay White in the contract, because like I said, New Japan has a traditional 1 year, maybe 2 contract based off like how their financial infrastructure is, how they had some really bad years and they had some really good years in terms of money. Then Harold May, I forgot, like he was in like the toy business, right, or something like that, or they were owned.
Well, yeah, it was one of the shows was I think like Toys R Us Internationally or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, but they have
yeah, he was an executive. He knew how to move things, and he knew contracts and how to keep people, and like trying to bring a Western mentality over to them. Because I mean, look, there's been a million times, including when Keiji Muto left and went to join All Japan back, and when after Misawa left All Japan. I mean, that whole thing. Those breakdowns came because of New Japan's contract structure and the fact they were on these 1 year deals. I mean, same thing up until the last couple of years, and then things have changed. There are still a lot of guys who are on the one, but a lot of things have changed because in this environment worldwide, you can't do that anymore. It just couldn't be done.
But to lock up a guy like Jay White shows that they see a future in him, even though people like how a majority of the American audience, I think Seahawk tweeted like, I had to wake, this is my first Jay White match because I don't wake up at 4 a.m. to watch Jay White matches. He's I'll check it out if it's on Daily Motion or something like that. I get that's with New Japan World. I had it for a little bit when I was trying to keep up with New Japan and like really follow it after the legendary Okada Mega match. I did about a year and a half.
Wait, he would be all over New Japan. Because I have a New Japan World subscription, and all I do is watch old Bruiser Brody matches on.
Yeah, no, you can literally watch the rise of Jay White
in English. There's English dubs. Okay.
Well, and that's the crazy part too. Is his ascension kind of matches up with the fact that they were doing so much with Kevin and Chris Charlton and Gino and all the other people that they've had there. Kind of matches up very well. So for people that just cannot handle listening to Japanese commentary because it throws them off too much, like there's an example of somebody you can watch over the last few years, see their entire ascension. And I mean, I think some of the Rev Pro stuff when he went is over there. I don't know about the ROH stuff, but I know they.
They still probably have All In, if I'm not mistaken.
He's on All In.
No, I'm saying like New Japan had the like the VOD rights to All In. Like you could have watched. I watched All In. I think the replay like on New Japan World.
That's right. Yeah, and I don't know if that's still up there or not.
If it's still there or not, yeah.
I guess with a VPN, it was certainly on the Japanese side of it.
I still have All In, and that's the other part of because remember, Drip, the conversation before you guys were going back and forth about, or it may have been around the streaming service conversation. I asked, where do you go to watch the AEW paper because I've never ordered anything off of Fight TV.
I mean, besides other means, you mean?
Well, look, I've been before. You see the Black Wrestling podcast. Before Black Wrestling was a podcast. Before Sempervive followed me. Before a lot of what was going on, Black Wrestling was a place where I could say, "Hey, if you guys wanted to watch the wrestling show, here's a link. You could watch the wrestling show." That may or may not have happened back in the day. I don't know.
You didn't have to walk up, high five me. Don't hold it too long.
Kayfabe. No, but
what I was trying to say is that like the infrastructure of New Japan, kind of balancing in and out. Like, so let's not hold on to a guy who we might not have a future here. Whereas, like you said, AEW came in guns blazing, right? Like, we're gonna be here, and we're gonna be here for a while. That's why they wanted to sign him early on. They're like, because if we get this guy right now, he'll be champion like in 2 years' time, probably once we build him up in America. Like they were trying to do with Kenny Omega. Like that's why they didn't put the belt on him right away. Like this guy's probably gonna fall flat on his face as champion. Let's put him in a tag team, build him up. They know that this is the 7-star match guy from Japan, but what's he doing in the States now? Like, is he gonna be the same guy? And many of us will agree he wasn't, but I mean the injuries also played a factor in that as well.
That's something that Jay, though, is going to have to – he does have to adapt his style, and I'm not saying that he can't do it, but, like, there's no – you can't build here. Not necessarily – I mean, on pay-per-view matches, you absolutely can. There are going to be times where people are willing to settle in and watch you go 40, 50, 60 minutes, but generally in the States, it is – I don't want to say it's hell to go that long, but you better be really good to go that long. And I think –
they showed it with Dennis and Hangman, both matches.
Yes.
On national TV.
Yes. Now, could Jay White, if you're going to say Jay White goes in there with X person and they're going to go for 45 minutes, you give that to me or you, and we're going to go, great, we're going to want to see that.
Yeah, right.
Somebody else, and it's like, I don't know about this. So I want to see, he is going to have to put on 8-minute bangers. He is going to have to put on 6 minutes, things that he has not done for a long time.
Yeah.
And maybe he's doing it all the time on Impact. I don't see him, so I don't know.
And in New Japan
Strong. I just
right?
promos.
But
New Japan Strong as well. That was kind of the purpose of that was, New Japan and America, like shorter matches, probably, 13 minutes, 20 minutes.
Well, and that's that 12-minute match. They can go through the break and you're still, hitting it hard. Like, he is going to have to get more adapted doing that because he's been great at. I mean, we've seen guys be able to tell that story, be able to unwind and tell the story. And maybe he's again, like I mentioned, maybe he's doing that more in Impact, but I don't get a chance to see him much doing it. So I apologize for that. But as far as on AEW, he's going to have to start doing that because you can't. There aren't the Okadas there, and the people aren't trained. Their brains aren't trained to sit there and go that long. If it's him and Bryan Danielson, people will accept it. If it's him and Lee Moriarty or him and Daniel Garcia, as great as that match may be, I don't know if that I wouldn't take that risk. You know what I mean?
It's not going to move. Yeah, it's not going to move. Damn, I'm sorry. I threw the match on YouTube on the other screen, and it's an interesting. And the funny thing is, it's like Trent Beretta's like low key bigger than Jay White, like just
he's a tall. He was a WWE guy. Remember, that's why he was there first. Like this guy's tall, but then he's lanky. Like he's Pattinson as Batman. Like,
but he's a tall man in AEW. Like it's him and Luchasaurus are like the big man that are the guys that aren't Miro or and like
Keith Lee, Wardlow.
Yeah, it's like it's those guys. It's
yeah.
And that's the other thing. I don't know what I was expecting because I think the first time I ever got references of Jay White was Drip talking about he had like the was it like a coat? There was some like was it a mink coat or what was it?
He basically was dressed in like me with the turtleneck and like the drip basically like he had the sunglasses.
He was dripped out and
well the other thing I'll bring it up. I mean because Mike said it. I mean. Roman Reigns he stole his whole fucking flow with talking during the match and then,
Wait, hold up. Wait, so first off.
Not that Jay White didn't invent it, but I think Roman Reigns probably said he's in Jay White tape.
First off, Drip, do not disrespect my tribal chief, all right?
Oh, here we go.
No, listen.
Telling no lies, though.
Listen to me. I was the other day I was trying to figure out what the hell I was doing, and I found a video. It was like Roman Reigns' most savage moments on YouTube, and I swear I mentioned
Calvin, hang on a minute. Let me just unbuckle.
You're wild. But it was in 3 parts. The guy's YouTube page's 5 videos are all Roman Reigns videos, and the best.
Oh, so it's your account.
I wish it was. I wish I took the time.
Either yours or Stat Guy Greg's.
Compilations. I wish I took the time to make these compilations, but because it was all like Thunderdome era Roman Reigns, and it was all the shit. No, what happened was there was a video that I saw online that it showed Roman in the ring. He had, I think it was during the Edge match, he had Edge in a headlock, and he was talking cash shit about, because he's talking to the fans like, yeah. He's like, you see, I could do this all day. I'm a heavyweight. He's and the best part was because WWE made a short on YouTube, and the clip was him looking at the camera during a John Cena match. And he was like, "Hey, Hollywood, I'm sorry."
Oh, yeah, that was his best one because he's like,
I didn't mean to do this to him. You know, I'm gonna whoop his ass, and then we're gonna send him back to you. I'm sorry, he may be hurt or whatever. But you're saying that Jay White was doing that before?
Kind of early on, he was always doing. I mean, maybe especially like Okada, he was like, "So Rainmaker, huh?" Or like Tanahashi's like, "Old man." He'd
be talking that shit during matches.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's the first guy. I'm saying I think Roman Reigns came up with the tribal chief.
I should say.
No, I mean, it's very similar tribal chief. Like this guy, like I am the fucking best in the world, because Roman Reigns was already that guy. It's just he was finally the heel saying it.
Right.
And you'll notice that some guys in Japan too. I mean, they'll say shit because they know the fans can't understand them, and
that's why he does it.
Like, grimy shit or try to pop people. But Jay White, I mean, a lot more like Roman Reigns, would carry on some dialogue. He knew where that camera was, and he knew where the announcer and where the mics were, so he would do a little bit more of that. Is Roman?
I mean, Kevin Owens does it. I mean, Chris.
I was going to say there was a video of Roman Reigns. I don't remember when it was from, but he's talking to the person in the crowd.
The live event video, yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I make how you're talking to me.
How much do you make?
I make so much, and he's breaking down how much he's been making per month or whatever to the guy. Because as matter of fact, it was Roman, and Roman had to cover his face because he was laughing because he was like, "Damn, Kevin is actually like." Divulging his financial information.
And then Finn Balor, as the Prince, kind of was bringing that back a little bit. That like, don't do that. Now, see, that was the payment for all the Roman Reigns stuff. But no, I'm sorry. Once Mike tweeted that Wrestle Kingdom was like, I see it too, but no one wants to, because then you're just, you're a Roman hater. No, I like Roman Reigns. I just think he saw some Jay White matches like, I should do that now. Like,
it's not even like reinventing.
And he could do it because it's the Thunderdome.
It's not really reinventing the wheel, but again, it's being able to be able to do it, which in WWE, they're not going to focus on, they're not going to do it. They're not going to let people do things that they want to do unless they want them to do them. And obviously they want Roman Reigns to do those things. Thank God.
And Thunderdome too. When they need it, like no one's around, you got to talk about something. You got to fill the noise, the lack of noise. Like,
plus, it used to be too when I would see stuff like that too, and you would see like guys jawing, like, "Yeah, look at what I'm doing." Tackle that trying to get it again, like and shit, like boom,
John Cena, you mean
loud shit, and then it's just like, okay, drop kick, shit like that. So it's like it can play. Once you start seeing him do the dialogue, then your mind is trained as a fan too, of like you don't notice him saying like. He's just talking shit right now. No, he's actually like expressing some things right now, trying to lay some shit out. Right. Well, too, and that happens with Jay White. I've noticed in Japan too. Again, with a lot more things called in the ring and stuff like that too. A lot of it's more off the field, but you still got to communicate with guys who, in some cases, don't communicate very well with you because of the language barrier.
Well, I'm gonna say this because again, no, we're never gonna disrespect my tribal chief, Future Cal. In the edit, can you find the video of Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman? They're in the ring. It may have been on SmackDown. It was definitely during Thunderdome. Roman Reigns was talking about smashed him, stacked him. But there's back and forth with him and Paul Heyman.
These are Hall of Famers.
Yeah, he's the Mark Briscoe of the group.
But what I'm saying is, give me Jay White on Dynamite talking cash shit as the leader of the Bullet Club, and then have Chris Bay right next to him, just get, because there's again Future Cal. If you can find the clip, I was trying to see if Chris Bay had a part in this promo. It was Jay White, Chris Bay, and the Good Brothers, and Jay White cut drip. It was the one
I sent it to you, where he was like, "I got the ultimate finesser, Chris Bay."
But I'll tell you who will be a part of it. This man, the ultimate finesser, Chris Bay.
Like, he
right
was like,
here.
I
got the Good Brothers.
He
right
said, go
here.
to this clip in the thing. And I went to the clip and I'm like, yeah, Jay Wright was rapping in that shit.
I had to make an executive decision for the betterment of Bullet Club business.
Give me that on Dynamite and let Chris Bay then come in and be Chris Bay as a part of, whatever this union is. I could see it, but I have to go back and see. I need to see Jay White on his Roman Reigns during the match. I need to go back.
And probably the best after match promo is, and Mike, you might agree, is after losing to Ibushi in 55 minutes, he goes back. He just, and I post this clip. I post this picture, but he's just laying on the floor with the mic in his hands, like 55 minutes, and he's just like exhausted. And like he gets on the stage and he's like taking his tape off. As a kid, I wanted to drive diggers, like that's like construction equipment.
What?
And no. I said with a D. He's like, it's what do you call them in America, like tractors or whatever. He's like, I wanted to, and there's this whole spiel about wanting to do this before he even found wrestling, and it's like riveting. It's like a fucking movie monologue where it's like at the end of the day he's just like, and I can't beat Ibushi. If I can't beat Ibushi, I can't be here. Then like that's the thing. And that's when he went away for that little bit.
And they are so good with the post-match crises and some of the things that they do that you can't get away with here. Because again, maybe AEW can over time, but like Okada crying after
this
he
shit.
failed. And
it might be that one, yeah.
Yeah, and Jay White's done the whole thing of what am I even doing here and breaking down and things like that. All these things that like make you. They make the promos great. Now, if somebody were to see it on its own, it's like, what is this bitch whining about? But it's like, when you see the whole story though of the whole thing, and it's like, I hope they can adapt and do that here. To me, it's like what Cal's saying. If you're not going to bring him in and do that, to me, don't bring him in.
Right.
It seems like they.
Because some people bitch, because I was on Observer Live and somebody actually called the Torch a whole separate website and show to complain about something I said on Observer Live, and he got it wrong anyway. They said I was trying to say that Jay White was Roman Reigns. I said, no. If you're signing Jay White, bring him in as if he was Roman Reigns.
Exactly.
Give him that opportunity. He did beat Okada 29 million times. He did beat Tanahashi. He's got this streak against Tanahashi. He just beat Omega. He was the last guy, whatever. Well, however you want to put it, with all these things. Like, if he's not a big deal, then what's the point? If he's not what's the point? Then don't bring him in. If you're not going to make motherfuckers.
That's the promo, Cal. Yeah.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. He's laying there. He's like, I've done all I can, and I still can't win. It's just like, and it's him trying to win the title at Wrestle Kingdom. He's like, I can't even do it. Like, but what Mike just said, and that's why I think, and it pisses me off, and people like Andreas Hill as well. Like, the Adam Cole ran from the grind. Like, he left to join AEW, and look what he's beating Jungle Boy. He's beating Evil Uno. But like, if they had brought him in, and let's say he beats Hangman Page first try for the title, it's like so he's better than everyone who's ever been here. They just he squashes the champion in one match or whatever. Like, the guy that just showed up from the other company is that much better than everyone here. No, they had to build him up, and now they finally clicked when he cut that promo. Like, where's the camera? Look at me. Look who I've beaten. Kazarian, Jungle Boy, and then he that was his moment. Like, it all clicked. Like, and now I'm going to beat Adam Page for the AEW World Title because now it's time.
Should have never done that bullshit with Orange Cassidy, because everybody will swear up and down how it didn't hurt him, but the bottom line is he visually lost to Orange Cassidy when he didn't need to. He could have took that bump. Orange Cassidy could have taken him and done that, and they could have panned down, and somehow Adam Cole was the one on top.
Well, it was still the stupid finish to him and Johnny Gargano at that takeover as well. There was a callback to him, like, and I hated that ending too, because that ended that feud horribly. Like, we both fall, and one guy's barely on top of the other. Like,
but it's like, but one of those guys was going to go face the world champion. You were trying to face the world champion, who is on shaky ground right now. Anyway, it's nothing against Hangman Page, but he's a deer on ice right now. He's a baby deer on ice as far as like getting his bearings, and they gave him, Lance Archer and you're going to bleed a lot and all that stuff. Texas Death, they threw that on there real quick, and it's like, okay,
because he outlasted the
Cole
technical
didn't need that.
genius.
Like,
He has to fight.
Just to me, nobody needed Orange Cassidy thing to be in there as this wrench it didn't help. Like, that's the one thing in hindsight, even if you thought it was brilliant, did it help? I don't think it did. And right now, it's the fourth biggest match on that show. Again, not the worst thing in the world when you have some of the other matches that you do, but, again, make it a big fucking deal. And when everything's a big deal, nothing can be a big deal. And that's sometimes the problem with some of these hype-ups that Tony Khan does sometimes.
I just want to let people know this is a previously recorded show. By the time you get this,
oh yeah, I think Adam Cole will be the new AEW champion.
Well, that's the thing. It's actually interesting because we're recording. I'm just gonna say we're recording this early.
Well, that would be the thing. If Hangman Page retains, Jay White needs to show up, Blade Runner, and then pick up the title. Like, that's the big fucking deal.
If Page doesn't retain, then I don't know even what we're doing here. I mean, I really don't. He is not at that level yet where if they're going to take the belt off of him now, they are out of their goddamn minds. To me, look, Jay White, that's a great thing as far as bringing him in. Have Hangman Page beat Adam Cole and have Jay White come in, and then you can have this physical. To me, you could have an incredible, again, you got politics, you got contracts, you got all this other stuff that gets in the way of that. But, like, if you bring in a Jay White, whoever the champion is, Omega, Moxley, Danielson, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. That's how you got to bring him in at that level. The same way WWE with AJ Styles at first. Any time where you've seen a successful debut and to try to keep it moving, like, to me, that's what they got to do with him. To me, they have to do that with him. Unless he's just another guy with a good work rate who does some pretty shit, No,
you're right. You're 100% right about that shit. Is there any other Jay White stuff? Because I think we might have knocked this one out.
Yeah, we might have covered a lot in terms of what we had on the dock. I mean, are you more interested in checking out Jay White in the future or the past?
Yes. We didn't prep, but are there like matches? Like what you mentioned MSG.
Yeah, him and Okada at this super card.
Yeah, and I think you start with the turn. You start from like September. It was September G1. And I'll find out the date for you exactly. But when he turned on
Okada and Chaos
and all that stuff, from that point and that build to him, winning the title, to me, like that whole thing is good. Like, from there to the time at Madison Square Garden, I think that is the key. If anybody wants to see Jay White and who is this guy, that to me is the perfect time to watch him, because you see him in there with it's after Omega, it's a year after Omega at that point, but you see him with Okada, you see him with Tanahashi, you see him cut the promos, you can see things kind of swirling and coming together there, and he's got a lot of bangers in there. And again, cage match, you can pull that up and then match it up with New Japan World and even on YouTube and things like that. But that time period, I think that was the most clutch shit he did. He's done great stuff after it, had great matches and stuff like that. But I think that stuff right there, I think kind of tells you everything. If you can't vibe with him after seeing that and finishing with Okada, beating Tanahashi for the title and then losing it to Okada, like if you can't get him there, you're probably not going to get him, because I think that's his best shit.
Damn. Before we get out of here, Sam, I want to ask you a question. Again, this is it's you're not going to have the answer, because I mean, I don't there's no way we could know. But using your pro wrestling knowledge, I was watching. What was it? What was the video? I was shaving my head before I started watching. Tony Khan mentioned that he bought Ring of Honor. And you and Brian Alvarez had a back and forth about how Alvarez would know information about what Tony Khan. But question. Because I saw WWE said that there was talk that WWE had spoken with Ring of Honor about purchasing back when they announced in November, just like AEW was in talks, and it seems like the talks quickly were dead by the end of last year. It seems like those. What do you think was the number that Tony Khan said yes to, but the WWE turned down to bring like what's the number where Vince was like, that's too much for me, but Tony Khan was like, I need this. I will pay. Is it 20 million? Like what's the amount realistically?
If you're looking at this, if you're Nick Khan and going, okay, how can I maximize this? Like, I mean,
they're just doing
I couldn't see. I mean, what do you? Because you think about Ring of Honor, like, what are you really buying? Like, you're buying a tape library, and that's cool.
That's what Nick Khan's saying. That's what Nick Khan's saying. I'm buying a tape library.
Yeah, and they don't need Ring of Honors to sell their tape library. Like they're gonna have Fox or whoever has bid on it, and they can throw up as much nonsense, as they want. They got stuff that Giancarlo Dinamo did for them, like the Lex Express thing and the super fan thing with Vlad. Like
they're doing Netflix and everything. Yeah, they're doing stuff all over.
If they said 10 million, 15 million, I could see WWE going like, no.
Fuck that.
Well, and plus, like at this point, why would they want that library? Just for Tyler Black matches? Just for
they don't make money. They
Kevin Steen, El Generico matches. Like
they don't see the art of. We're going to put together this compilation, and it's going to be this. And like for DVDs, they saw
on the network, on the original network, it would have worked.
Yeah, I mean
that's what they were doing with Evolve.
Yeah, they did. They don't see the value in it. I don't want to say that there was no price that Tony Khan wouldn't pay.
Right.
But it's a wrestling fan who is in business, but he's a wrestling fan who cares more about the history, the stupid history that we all tend to like. What we like about pro wrestling, he appreciates that far more than Vince. And there's far more of a value on it. I couldn't even begin to tell you what the number is. The only thing I can tell you is, yeah, it's been talked about. I mean, people that have pitched libraries to WWE that they could have had their hands on. There were things that they were looking into when they took a bunch of stuff, when they took Progress and whatever it was, WX, I forget exactly.
Yeah, WX, ICW.
But it's like, they've been doing it for a while. How many people knew? I'm not saying that people knew every single last detail.
Right.
But I mean, I'll throw it out to you because I know some people gave me shit about that, and I'm not. Look, it's not easy to do that show with Alvarez. It's not easy. It's not easy to do that show at all. To be honest with you, sometimes I mean, people on Patreon agree. It just gets back to him. Whatever. It is what it is. Like it's not.
Me and you one day, Seth. Me and you.
Like you know what it is. I'm here, but all I'll say is. Motherfuckers that say that they're journalists and all that stuff, and it's cool and all that, but like, I don't know. I'm not stupid. I see Michael Schmidt at the New York Times. I've been around a long time. I pay attention to things. I watched a little C-SPAN in my time.
Right.
What constitutes wrestling journalism, and a lot of the times, I don't look at it as real journalism, and I think there's too much playing around and fucking around of, hey, what did you hear? Hey, what did you hear? And it's like, did y'all motherfuckers really hear anything? You're polling people and playing games and trying to play coy with stuff. And it's like, that's not journalism to me. I mean, it's teasing stories and all that stuff, but it's not.
What's the actual story? Where do we get it?
Not like,
what's the number? Yeah, like just do the
like,
report.
How many times have you heard somebody, no matter who it is, say, well, I couldn't say anything, but, I wasn't really. After the fact, then all of a sudden you're a genius, or you do know something and you're trying to frame things. And I've seen this a lot with a lot of different people trying to frame things in certain ways. So after the fact that they can say, well, see, I didn't tell you, but I'm telling you.
Hey, I could do that all day. There's so many things that I have interviews with, and then all of a sudden Liv Morgan shows up with a mosh, again, Future Cow, show the images. Shit, Mosh and Liv Morgan made a whole wrestling boot. She told me about that shit a year and change ago. People don't care. Hey. People don't care. What difference does that make?
And
who are you?
Well, I've said things and I've broken things, and I believe me, Dave's response in the forum to when I reported on the Nick Wayne situation, because I'm not a journalist. I'm not going to say I'm a journalist. I hear a lot of things too. One of the things that I didn't want to be a journalist about was because I couldn't, you know how hard it is to get a second or a third source on things?
Yeah.
It's a lot of times there's a lot of single sourcing that goes on, and it's a lot of telephone type shit too.
Yes.
Then you try to get a second source, try to get a second independent source.
They don't know.
Boys with your person who, well, they might feel the same way and have that same thing. Let me try to find somebody. No, they'll use that same person. I got 2 people to admit to it, or I got 2 people to say it.
Shit ain't easy. Shit ain't easy.
It's just, you know, and again, like, you know, Dave, well, there should have been, you know, he was smart about it in the forum about, you know, something I put about, you know, Nick finding out. Like, it wasn't a smart on Twitter. Took my tweet and somebody, you know, put it out there to Dave, and well, they should have known better than the book of 14-year-old, all this, than this performative. They basically trying to run me down. That's the way I took it, was trying to run me down. And it's like, where was the lie?
Step 2.
He wrestled in Queens.
Right.
A couple of months before that, they've had a situation in Philadelphia where somebody called on GCW. Somebody called and was it Starboy or Yo-Yo? Got Starboy Charlie off a card. So it's not like it hasn't happened before. And he's acting like it's nonsense. Well, John Pollock and Dave Bixenspan are covering it. You didn't say anything about them. It goes in the newsletter.
It's the information is going to be out there. Like, what are we talking about?
It's like, you're burying me for what? For reporting on a fucking story? Are you mad that I didn't get it? Or like, are you mad just because it's me? Like, what would be the reason to come out and react in the way that you reacted?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and then obviously the fucking story was true, wasn't it?
How about, and again, you don't want to.
The real story at the end of the day was, why the fuck is this law on the books if it's not even really on the books anymore? Which again, Bix was able to figure out. They never got back to me. I don't know how much they got back to Pollock or Bix. Frankly, I don't think they got back to Pollock at all when he started to push him. And it's like, you think just made this shit up out of thin air? But it's like, a lot of people didn't see it because it's me. It's not somebody who was touched by the, you know, it's not their, you know, the top people. But again, I mean, that's a story for a whole separate Patreon that I might need.
No facts. Yeah, we'll have to.
I might need that.
Well, hang on. I wanted to ask two things real quick. One, maybe end of the year, Irish Mike and Italian Mike got to get together to discuss some Crockett territories.
We'll have to.
That's something Tony needs to think. The 86 Mid-Atlantic, 86 Crockett with Dusty got 9 million feuds somehow going on. 9 trillion feuds. Everybody on the roster's got a feud. They all somehow tied into each other. That's
I think
high water mark right there, boy.
We'll have to set that up one day. But the thing I want to ask, because this will date what's going on, even though I didn't know what was happening until when it's happening this week. Masvidal Covington, what's the pro wrestling equivalent to that, you think? Because again, it's kind of 2 heels, like former teammates, like.
But see, there's a clear here. I guess I guess you got to choose a side. You know, is
it kind of MJF, Chris Jericho? I hate Cody Rhodes. Is it that kind of moment when they were both like back and forth, like?
It's kind of like that. Like Covington, I don't know how anybody can like Colby Covington. You know, how much of it's gimmick, how much of it's not. Look, it worked on me. I hate your fucking gimmick, even if you don't believe all that shit.
Yeah.
It's working enough. Fuck you. So with Masvidal, I'm obviously with Masvidal. Now I'm sure somebody else is looking at that going the same way, entertained as shit by Colby, looking at Masvidal like, bad motherfucker title. You can't even win any real fights. You know what I mean?
Well, then he had said some pro-Trump stuff as well, right? Like
it's the Samoans and the Freebirds. It's Ole and Gene Anderson and Greg Valentine and Ric Flair, or who else was some of these types of Kamala against Bundy. When I was a little kid, they came to the Cap Center with that Kamala and Bundy or something. It's just 2 heels going at it, and all you want to do, if you have no battle, if you have no money involved, if you have no stake in whoever's winning, you just want to see these 2 beat the shit out of each other. You know,
somebody hit somebody.
Yes, knock each other out. It'll be great, and that's so it. Hey, look, that's how you sell fights, right? I mean, if it's not about the athletic pinnacle of I'm going to win this championship, why else do you watch 2 people? It's like wrestling. Why else do you want to watch somebody if it's not for the pinnacle athleticism? It's to watch them beat the shit out of each other, either for money or because they have a personal problem with each other. And I can understand both of those things. So it's a very simple thing. But that's, I mean, 2 heels to go at it. I mean, MJF has got to be, it couldn't really be Masvidal in that.
Yeah. I just mean just how, because Kamaru Usman would be Cody, this like they both hate Kamaru Usman because he beat them both. Like,
I guess I'm looking at that. I was trying to think of some sort of like Wardlow and Hobbs type of thing where they can both look at MJF and just go,
yeah. I would see him. I mean, probably Wardlow and CM Punk after this weekend. Yeah.
Drip, does your dad listen to other wrestling podcasts?
No, I think he just checks us out and then watches stuff on YouTube. I think he watches like random like videos that he'll see. Like I heard this, but I think he mainly just watches us.
I think because I'm saying like
I'll direct him to Sempervive if he wants to check out.
Before him and Stem talk, you might want to have him listen to the Mid Atlantic Wrestling Podcast.
An Irishman and an Italian.
I feel like it's going to be right. The couple times he's been on the pod and we've spoken to him, that era that I like, that era when it was WWE 24/7 on demand, I would just put those old episodes on and just let them play, and I would do.
As my dad would say, real wrestling. That's the when men were men, like, and they waited just to feel something. Like
maybe there's an episode that I've never spoken to Alvarez. I've never spoken to anybody over. I have emailed Dave Meltzer reports from when I went to see house shows in Trenton. I would give him information, and I did send him an email because he got information. He doesn't know what a Q dog was. There was something about when gosh. Anyway, that's for all. But I've listened to them. I've listened to a lot of Alvarez and specifically Alvarez and Vinny and them doing like recaps of shows. It'd be cool if like there was a particular pay-per-view from that era that everybody watched and we did like a recap or had a conversation about on a Patreon episode with like
Night of the Skywalkers.
Yeah, again, another white noise situation. Night of the Sky. I remember watching that on VHS tape. That was hard.
You fell too fast. That's still the funniest thing I've ever heard. He's like,
what else?
Too fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Night of the Skywalkers. What else was on that pay-per-view? I remember watching that. That was Starrcade '86.
I believe so. Yeah.
It was Dusty and
Ric Flair and Nikita Koloff.
My dad would tell me these stories in the car of like they had a match where two guys would fight on top of a scaffold. I'm like, what size? Like it's this thing above the ring. I'm like, what? Like
I was playing Beltway football. So I was still living in Montgomery County outside DC. So we played all around the Beltway. And I remember.
I think would say shouts out Montgomery County.
As we're going about the dude who coached my football team was like the police chief at Tacoma Park or something like that, dude, Tony Fisher. And we went over to his house. We didn't have cable, and I remember we had a game. My father was assistant coach. We all went over there afterwards and sitting there, and it was World Championship Wrestling came on, and it's the Road Warriors on top of the scaffold, and they're throwing the pumpkins down. And it's like it fucked me all up. Because we're seeing pictures in magazines like Coco Ware and Bill Dundee and stuff like that, of like scaffold matches, but not like it really hit me like, wait a second.
If you fall, like
well, yeah, you're getting fucked up. Yeah.
And then they did the whole thing where they did the practice thing and then the Midnight Express, and it's like I know again, it's one of those things. I know this is a show. Like I know this is fake. Is that fake? Like how is this gonna work?
Right.
And then actually, the best thing that happened was Jim Cornette falling and blowing himself out like that.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you can't fake that fall. That
I in looking at the rest of this card, it's a 12-match card. This is days before there were.
Well, we probably just have to do the top 3. Yeah.
Well, you figure.
We will review the Skywalker's match. Yeah. Just.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's Skywalker's match, and it's. I do want to watch the Rock and Roll Express versus the Minnesota Wrecking Crew was the hardest wrestling name for me for a while, and they were good. Arn and only back 20 minutes. That's almost as long as Flair and Nikita Koloff doing a double disqualification. Maybe we can watch those 3 matches. I'll watch the whole pay-per-view, but maybe we can talk about those 3 matches and a little bit more in a future Patreon. I don't know. Again, I'll at some point I'll figure out the Patreon stuff and I'll put out, images on stuff around here somewhere. You'll know about this video when it comes out.
So you do better than what I've done with my Patreon, because it took so long for me to start one up for the Mid-Atlantic show. So I finally did like last week, And I got nothing because that was one of my whole things was starting up with what can I give people? Well, I don't have anything to give them right now. I don't have the time to give them anything. But that's
Right.
everybody's been doing one anyway. So there are several tiers there. Probably be smarter than the ones I did. There is a $1,000 a month tier.
Well, I was going to say, Seth, if you want to plug yourself, we keep talking about the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Pod. If you want, big up yourself right now. So people who have paid to watch this, let them know where they can see you outside of this.
That's it. Well, obviously, everything with Wrestling Observer for now. I think by the time this podcast comes out, I'll still be there. I think. Wrestling Observer Live, as of now, every day, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, as of now. Big Audio Nightmare, I'm still doing that with Adam Summers for now over there. But my big passion, the Mid-Atlantic Championship Podcast, which you can find at Mid-Atlantic Pod, midatlanticpod.com. It is straight, bare bones, old school wrestling. There's a lot of things I'd like to do with it, but why fuck around? Why play around? Everybody's got a TV review where they throw a bunch of nonsense. No. I'm going to we go back and we review WWE on the network, on demand, however they call it now, on Peacock. Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling shows in order, and what we do during them is we play the promos. We got a lot of promos in there for people so they actually hear what's going on, and then I provide some stories about some of the people that are on these shows, some ideas of what's really going on in the world at the time this is happening, away both in kayfabe form and not in kayfabe form, and it's a celebration of pro wrestling, and I love the show, but I love doing the timeline even more. I love posting up stuff and putting in little factoids from the history of Jim Crockett. Started promoting as early, officially in 1933 in Greensboro. It actually goes back a little bit earlier than that. Stories from Jim Crockett Promotions. I've hooked up with the guys at the Mid-Atlantic Gateway and, trying to put up different things up there, clips onto the YouTube as well, too. So it's a celebration of wrestling, and you're going to see 2 minutes and 20-second clips of some of the best shit you've ever seen in your life. I mean, for multiple shows on a weekend, I'm talking about 86. I'll do these on this day in JCP TV histories, and it's like Worldwide was hot, NWA Pro was hot, World Championship Wrestling was hot, and there's so much stuff, you can't even post it all up there. I mean, it's amazing, and it's still stuff that it resonates today. People lose their minds over MJF, and Brian drives me nuts about this. It's almost like a gimmick for him now to go like, well, MJF is the only one doing that old school stuff. It's because they're allowing him to do it. All that old shit still works because it's fucking wrestling and it's not that difficult. It really isn't. And it's just so much of that stuff is still relevant for today. Watching guys cut promos because they don't get a chance to do it like they used to anymore. And you see these guys cutting these promos. You see localized promo spots. I try to put those in there from town. I love all that shit. I love all that old shit. And thank God for people like us in Cal, because everybody that was around in the 80s and went through the Attitude Era and went through the Cena Era who's here for this, we're running out.
Right.
Look, those NXT people that fall asleep with the TVs on and their 60+ rating is through the roof. That's what you're going to be left with soon. So
you got to document it. So people have that information out there. That's why I feel like the conversation we had here is cool. I'm going to add some stuff. I want to what I'm going to do. What I'm trying to do with what we're doing is kind of what I've been wanting to do on the YouTube, but YouTube in the WWE and the powers that be won't allow you to.
Those rat bastards.
Copyrights and everything of a little set. I mean, I'm trying to be as transformative as possible, but I'm trying to also figure it out as I'm doing it. So we'll figure it all out together. Drip, where can people find you?
Well, I'll be starting a Patreon with Sempervive. We'll be documenting Jay White's entire career with promos and match. But no, seriously, at Davis, aka Drip on Twitter, Davis Colin DC on Instagram, Black Wrestling YouTube, most importantly, Twitter as well. That's where I make some highlight videos and more coming soon, different styles. But Cal, you're next.
Damn, I was looking to see if there's not a podcast called like the Two White Boys or something like that.
I mean, White Noise. I mean, this is the first
White Noise
will be a reoccurring show.
A White Noise pro wrestling podcast. Again, there's no contracts over here. You can, if you guys want to take it and run with it, do whatever you want to do. I'm at Cal. At Cal on Twitter is probably the best place to find me. The Black Wrestling Podcast, blackwrestling.com, youtube.com/Black Wrestling. You can find the Black Wrestling Podcast, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. If you Patreon, I guess, is the other place. You can find us here a lot. We're trying to load up some extra content. Hopefully you're seeing this around WrestleMania weekend. Conversations like this and other conversations with other people, some of our homies, some of the people we've not spoken to before, but some deeper conversations than what we've been able to do on the show will be around here. Why did this music stop? I'm sorry. I like this little acoustic cinematic. Shout out to VR for that.
One day we gotta talk to Jay White. He'll be in Dallas. Maybe I gotta track him down and be like, Jay White.
You know, again, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna get kind of dirty over here. I'm trying, not dirty in the sense of like raunchy, but just in like
I mean, we already are.
I want to try some different shit, some shit. Yeah, 100%. But like, there's stuff you can't do other places, and I want to try, figure some stuff out over here because
Bam's got an 8-part series about Ricky Steamboat.
I'm saying there's a lot that's gonna happen over here. Shouts out to Fam, shouts out to Math.
Yeah.
Peace. Shouts out to Anakin and Vader. Again, I have a whole beat that hopefully is an intro to whatever this video is. Shouts out to you if you watch whatever this video became. Again, Sem, thank you for coming through.
Yes, thank you.
Shouts out to Jay White. Shouts out to Chris Bay. I'm Cal. We'll see you in the future. Peace. Look at that music. It's fucking gorgeous.